I joined the police force in June 1st, 1946, and went to the police academy. And we did about 6 weeks in the police academy. And during that time, they were having a problem in the parks. So while I was in the police academy, they used to send us out at night to do duty in the park. Originally, sometimes we didn't even have guns. And then later, after we had our training with the weapons, then we were given the weapons to wear. But we were dressed in sort of a khaki uniform, and we wore a blue cap. We finished the academy around August 15th. No, I'm sorry, July 15th. We finished July 15th at about 6 weeks, and then I was assigned to the 106th precinct in Ozone Park. Used to cover Ozone Park, Richmond Hill. And then I became a brand new policeman in my brand new uniform, and I felt like I was, everybody was looking at me. And I was given a post on 101st Avenue, and I also worked some radio cars. In those days we had one-way radio, and you only could receive. You could not send. Many times the radio message would come over, and if you were in a certain area and you couldn't hear the signal, why, you didn't hear it. So usually maybe 2 cars used to respond on the signal, just to make sure that somebody covered the radio call. And they had me working all over because I was the rookie, and I'd work in one area at one time, and then they moved me over to another area. The precinct was quite big. It came around Christmas time. After Thanksgiving, they go into special posts during Christmas time. It used to be a great shopping area, Liberty Avenue. We had all small stores. This is really before the shopping center era. And many people used to do a lot of their Christmas shopping right on Liberty Avenue in these small stores. So what they would do is, where a post may be 8 blocks long, they would cut it in half, and it would only be 4 blocks long. And then they would put many policemen into that area. Try not to give vacations or days off in that time, and so they could cover these Christmas posts, as they call them. And I got Christmas post on Liberty Avenue underneath the L, and I had on this corner, and I don't remember the street. It was around 114th, maybe 113th Street. There was a jewelry store, and while I was walking the post, it was about 11:45, half past 11, 11:45. I was finished at midnight, and I saw this car parked outside the jewelry store, and as I approached it, I went up to the car and I looked at it, and it was empty with the motor running. And then I looked across the street and I saw a couple of fellas on the opposite corner from where the jewelry store was, and they were just standing there. So I walked past them, walked up halfway up the block, crossed over, and stood on the other side. Well, I imagine they were watching me to see what I was going to do, because a few minutes later they left their corner, jumped in their car, and drove away. But as they drove away, or even before that, I had copied down the license number of the car, and of course the make, the color, and everything else. Well, about a half hour goes by, and it's time for me to start my way into the station house, because once the stores were closing around midnight, why, you cover Christmas posts on the midnight tour. So I didn't have to wait for relief, so at midnight I started on my way in. And I got almost in just about a few minutes after 12 o'clock, and all of a sudden all the radio cars are flying back going up Liberty Avenue. I was curious what happened. So when I got to the station house, I was informed that two fellas in the car, answering everything that I had copied down, had stuck up a store up on Liberty Avenue, about 120th, 121st Street, that was not under the L, and they had gotten away. So the good thing about it was I was able to supply the plate number, and by supplying the plate number, the next day when I came to work at 4 o'clock, I was informed that since they got the plate number and they got the good description of the car, these guys were grabbed that night, maybe a half hour or so after I had gone home. See, those things, I think the lesson I learned on that was that it isn't always, you can't judge a policeman by the fact he makes a lot of arrests or he catches a lot of people, because really the policeman in uniform is on the street to prevent things from happening. And I think it's hard to judge whether that man out there, if nothing ever happens on his post, it seems to me he's doing a good job. But of course that's a very difficult thing to say because maybe nothing ever happens. Mm-hmm. See, so it's a very difficult line to draw, is whether the guy's doing an excellent job because he doesn't make the arrest, or, it doesn't have anything happen, or he's doing an excellent job if he makes a lot of arrests, because if he's making a lot of arrests on his post, it's quite obvious that he's not doing a prevention job. Likewise, the fellow that has nothing happening on his post, it could be that nothing ever happens on his post, because you've got to have something occur, to make a judgment. And these are things that you can't make a judgment on. So it's one of the problems that the police force have. Also, while I was in the 106, I was trying to make my mind up whether to become a New York City policeman or a fireman. I was a policeman, but I also was on the fireman's list. And after I had joined the police force, I had notification to come down and become a fireman. And since I had just started being a policeman and I seemed to be enjoying it a little bit, I didn't know whether to quit policeman and become a fireman, because you always consider a fireman's job as a little easier because he hangs around the firehouse cooking his own supper, and they only respond when things happen. Whereas on a policeman, you come in and you're on the street 8 hours a day or whatever. I made an application to the Civil Service Commission, and they told me, well, you have 2 years to make up your mind. So I said, fine, that I would, in 2 years, make up my mind, but I'd like to get some experience as a police officer first before I make up my mind whether I want to change or not. So while I was at the 106, and I was working a radio car one night, and we had a fire on Liberty Avenue in a bar, and I saw those firemen going in, coughing their guts out, coming out, because there was an awful lot of smoke in that place. And they'd crouch down low and they'd go in and they'd be holding that hose in there trying to get the fire out, and then they'd turn around and come back out again and they're coughing and coughing. And when I saw that, I decided, I think I'll take my chances with lead poisoning rather than smoke poisoning. So I couldn't see myself going through what they were going through. So I decided, I think at that spot, that I was not going to be a fireman. Besides, I hate ladders.